Hey guys, what's up? A lot of people have been asking me to make a video about my addiction. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll maybe do that. And then, but I'm like looking through pictures the other day, and I was like looking at pictures from when I was like using a lot, and I was like, holy shit, I look so fucked up. I don't remember looking that crazy. I knew I looked crazy, but holy shit. So I thought I would do like a little video and pictures to show for them. It seems a little narcissistic, but guess what? I'm on fucking YouTube, so that's a little fucking narcissistic. So yeah, this is my addiction. Oh right, so I don't know how much I want to go into like the whole fucking like childhood, but short story, my childhood was great, very idyllic, nice, up until age 9 or 10 or something. My dad was prescribed Oxycontin for back pain, and then that popped off into a full-blown heroin addiction. So at the time I didn't fully understand what was going on, like at all, and you know, a bunch of other stuff happened. I don't know how many details I want to get into, but the start of my addiction, it all basically starts when I was 11. That's when I started having severe anxiety and panic, to the point where actually on 9/11, I was in 6th grade and we were in like a French class, and I found out that Twin Towers were hit, and then my mom's job had like these bomb threats, and at the time it really felt like we're under fucking attack. And my aunt had like worked in the tower. She wasn't there because she was having a baby, but still. I think that combined with the instability of my dad leaving, I full meltdown. I did not go back to school. I wouldn't leave my mom's side. I went to work with her, and I became extremely dysfunctional. And I was out of school for a couple of years, and I started, doing shit like cutting myself, and just was a fucking mess. There's not a lot of pictures of me from this time, except for that one with me and the black hair. I think I'm 12 in that picture. But around 11 and a half, 12, that's when I started getting into like punk and like alternative music. I started listening to Nirvana, the Misfits, and my older brother was into all of that stuff, and I would sometimes go to shows with him. But for the most part, I had zero friends and spent most of my days doing nothing except like hating myself and being a fucking disaster of a person. Like, it was not a normal thing. Because normally kids are like in school. I would just walk around and like shoplift and, play guitar, and fantasize about being a fucking drug addict musician someday and then dying young. Which I accomplished 2 of those goals, but I'm still alive. So from ages like 11 to like 13 or 14, I was out of school and basically living in pure isolation. And I started experimenting with, I think I started with alcohol, just like stealing alcohol from whoever. And I got really into like shoplifting too. So I'd go to like stores and like steal beer, and I would go and steal bottles of cough syrup. I remember the first time I robo-tripped. That's what they call it when you take like a bunch of Robitussin and get high. I was doing it with my older brother, who also was into drugs. He has like worse he had worse problems than I did. And he was like, oh, drink the whole thing. And I was like 90 pounds, like 12 years old. And I drank a whole bottle. And I remember that was the first time I was like fucked up. Like, I was cross-eyed, foaming at the fucking mouth. Like, it's lucky I didn't fucking die right then and there. But my first real drug that I like loved, it was totally alcohol, because that was the one thing where I would drink and I wouldn't feel completely like horrified to be in my own skin. It was the only time I felt like comfortable and, like I could even potentially interact with another person or make a friend, yeah. So when I was 13 or 14, I made the choice that I wanted to go back to school for the sole purpose of making friends. I was like terribly embarrassed that I had no friends, no life. It's just like really a sad situation. But then, of course, I go to school and I was relentlessly and horrifically bullied to the point where I dropped out again and was out of school again for another year. And then I went to a couple months of 9th grade, and then I dropped out altogether. These pictures are from when I was 15, I think. It's around ages 15, 16 that we moved near my current city where I still live, and that's when I finally started making friends. And I found that when I got shit-faced, I could be fun and have friends, and it was great. And also, all the friends I were making were alcoholics. So I actually, around that time, I was still living with my family, but then my family had to move again. We'd moved like 8 times in that 5 years. And, but I didn't want to leave my new friend. Now I finally had friends. So I actually moved out when I was 16. And I moved in to this weird like warehouse space and shared a bunk bed with a friend who was a bit older, and she was a stripper. And we both became hardcore alcoholics. Woo! So being in like the punk scene and stuff, a lot of things seem normal that probably aren't like normal. Like being like an alcoholic, drinking all day every day, that's like pretty normal. So I did that. I drank daily. I would buy 40s, nips, but it was mostly just drinking at that time. And then I would do like Coke or like, whatever was around. And also around this time I did my first kind of like sex worker-y type job, where me and my roommate started doing topless house cleaning. So we'd post an ad on Craigslist and then like go meet people up there, and I was wasted the whole time. It was extremely dangerous, and I was 17, so it's really fucking dark shit. But luckily nothing bad happened. So the truth is, I was having a blast during this time. It was all very fun. I was drinking every day, but it wasn't like debilitating my life. When you're young, you can get away with a lot of shit. And I was doing other drugs, literally just whatever was around, experimenting. Did psychedelics for the first time, just random stuff like that. As I got older, the other like drugs and harder drugs started making more appearances, so I'm doing more Coke, I'm doing more like Molly, psychedelics, pills, whatever. And then I really got into fucking like Adderall. That was like my shit for a while. Well, on and off for like years. The do Adderall, I was all about like mixing drugs to get that perfect high, so you take like some Adderall and then like a drink, with some weed, and it was just like, perfect. And around this time I also started my first band. So this was a very fun, good time. I was living the dream, because all I ever wanted was to like live a debaucherous life, play in a band, and party all the time. So I am doing it, and I'm loving it. So I switched from like drinking like beer to like going towards hard alcohol. So I'm drinking like whiskey every night, and that's when I got like physically dependent on it, to the point where I would be very sick if I didn't have it. And this is all before I'm even fucking 21, So I'm having fun, partying, being an alcoholic, woo. But then, little bits of reality start crashing in. Like, I'm kicked out of this warehouse space I was living in because you aren't supposed to live there. And I end up moving to Rhode Island and staying with one of my best friends, who I actually ended up being in like a romantic relationship with. And we were both like drinking a lot. And also being like crazy unstable, very, very crazy. So my mental instability is starting to get the best of me, and the constant drinking and drugs not helping, making it worse. So I was like cutting myself a lot, and suicidal. And then one night I was like suicidal, and my friend took me to the emergency room where, they kept an eye on me. And then I started going into alcohol withdrawal, and they took me to some weird like state-funded detox. So that was my first time like going to like well, not technically a rehab, it's a detox, so it's more just about the physical withdrawal. But I was there for a couple of weeks, and that was the first time I was like, oh, I'm sober. It was the first time I'd been like sober for like years. It's weird. So I did the whole like AA thing and was sober for like a couple weeks. But the thing is, for me, sobriety meant just having nothing. I couldn't socialize. I was just paralyzed by anxiety and depression. It was just not enjoyable. I was like, the only way I can be sober is if I just hide in my bed for the rest of my fucking life. And So yeah, needless to say, I started drinking again after like a couple weeks. And also the whole like having no life thing, I think probably brought back memories of back when I was like 11 to like 15 and literally had nothing, you know, no life, no friends, no structure. And it wasn't until I started doing drugs and alcohol that I finally was able to like connect with other people. So not having any substance was just pure isolated misery. This video is getting mad long, and I haven't even gotten into the drugs. So I think I'm gonna break it up into maybe 2 parts, maybe 3 parts, because there's like the couple main addictions. Starts with alcohol, just using drugs, la-di-da, whatever's around, and then it goes to like opiates, you know, and that was pretty bad. And then I go on Suboxone, and then the 3rd chapter is the Xanax and crack era. So maybe I'll do 3 parts. Maybe. I don't know.